Matt and I've come down to the big garden early this morning. We're going to clean off the garden. That's our task for today. Matt's already mowed down some of the corn. You can see already bush hogged some of it. He's going to get the rest of it today. But first we've got to uncover that whole row of taters and see if we actually grew anything. I hear a few hitting the bucket, so at least there's some down here. I think we're just going to give up on the beans, the peanut beans and the butter beans that we'd planted down here. They've just not got time to make. They had the deer, they had two things against them. Well, three things against them. We got them planted late, then the deer ate them. Then they come back, but it's been such a dry summer that they've just not thrived. And we've not watered this garden at all, period. Not even one time, didn't water anything. So that's something we hope that we can have a better plan in place for next year. Anyway, so on our agenda for today is to get this garden kind of cleaned off, and then we'll talk maybe at the end of this video about other things that we need to do with the garden before next year. I'm finding a few. We're having to remove the weeds that we let grow up before we can actually dig the taters. Not nearly looks like going to be the harvest that we got this year from the grow bags, but still some taters. I was pulling back the weeds. I found a toad frog here. I'm going to move him over there out of the garden into Corey and Austin's yard or by the creek so he doesn't get mowed over when Matt starts mowing. He's cute. Well, we ended up with more than what we thought we would. Still not a great deal, but what is that, Matt? 5-gallon bucket overflowing, and then, I don't know, is that half of a 5-gallon bucket again, maybe? About 3/4 of another bucket. I don't guess that's too bad, though, for one long row. Could be better, but considering how dry it's been and that we really didn't take care of them very well because of the dryness, we just thought we'll just let them do whatever they do. Not bad for that. As we were digging the potatoes, we noticed the peanut beans do have a few beans on them. So we're going to pull up the plant so that we can pull the beans. You know, we won't waste them. And Matt can still clean up the garden like he wants to get done today. We'll probably just give these to Granny. She loves the peanut beans. So we thought we was going to sacrifice the peanut beans and the butter beans. Now we're going to actually get some beans off the peanuts. But the butter beans, we're just going to go ahead and mow them down. Because of the deer damage, they've not got blooms on them yet, and this is almost September. Can you believe that? Almost September. So we're going to go ahead and just mow them down. They'll at least enrich the soil some. This is the bank where we had all the trees cut late last winter. Some of the trees have put out new shoots and they're trying to grow back, but mostly the whole area has been took over by jewelweed. Isn't it beautiful? I don't know if it's picking up on the camera, but I can just hear a hum of bees and insects right here. There's some other wildflowers growing. This is like a wild aster. They're all closed up right now, but they'll open up as the day warms up. Another thing I can really hear right here is hummingbirds. They're all over this jewelweed. So jewelweed is a medicinal plant. You probably already know about it, but it's like a natural cortisone. So it's really good for poison oak, scrapes, bug bites, those kind of things. You can just break open a part of the stem there. If you just break it off and break it open and kind of rub that all over you. And you can also make tinctures out of it and salves and rubs, and you can find those a lot. You know, people make them, so they're readily available if you want to try it out. It works really well. One of my favorite things about the plant, and it's often called wild touch-me-not. If you see that right there is one of the pods. If you touch them, they just spring open. That's such a fun thing to do with children. There's another one right there. They just bust open in your hands. All you have to do is touch them. Which looks like it's melted and refroze. It's short. It's the last grape in the box.
Buy a new box.
Have to buy you a new box. Actually, it's the last pineapple in the box too. You didn't like the pineapple because it's got chunks in it.
Yeah, I don't like it. I mean, I like pineapple, but I don't like clover.
I think it's good. They're outshine popsicles, if you didn't know that. Matt's favorite is grape. I'm not sure if my favorite is the peach, which I've not had a peach in a while, or coconut. I really like the coconut ones. Matt, we tried lime one time. I didn't like it, but Matt did. What else have we tried? The strawberry's okay, and watermelon's okay, but not as good as... The pineapple's really good, too. Not as good as the peach or the pineapple or the coconut to me. Matt just wants to stick with the grape.
Yeah, I'm old school.
It's a nice little breeze blowing. We've been enjoying cooler weather. I know many of you have too. Some of you even cooler than us. The Holmans said it had been 42 at their house one morning this week, or last week. That's pretty chilly. It's not been, we thought it was cool here. I said no, it wasn't really cool compared to that. So it's been in the upper 50s here of the morning, and which has felt really nice. The daytime highs, though, have been back up in the 80s. But it's nice to start out that cool.
It's getting ready to get back in the 90s.
Well, at least this little taste of fall, though, tells us it's really coming. Did you get hot when we was working in the big garden? Did you? I didn't even get hot while we was down there. I did get warm enough. I took my jacket off when we were digging the potatoes, but then I put it back on once we was done. So not a bad potato harvest, considering we planted them late, and then we just forgot about them. I think we weeded them one time, and maybe you healed them one time.
Yeah.
And that's it. And we just left it to chance whatever was going to happen. We should have weeded them more, and we wouldn't have had such a hard time digging them, but it was just, we didn't really think they were making anything, and we didn't want to expend that energy. But overall, when you think about like the dryness that we had, the big garden, we did water some up here, but the big garden we didn't water not one time, nothing. So it didn't do all that great in places, like considering which the beans really wasn't the fault of the dry weather. They probably wouldn't have been the best ever, but it was the deer that ate them down to the nubs basically, and then they had to come back. So combination of that, but. And I didn't get any watermelons. My one watermelon I was saving that was actually looked like it was about that big, I guess. Something ate one end of it, so then it rotted. I mean, then it was too late.
You can give up on watermelon.
I
You've
know.
never been able to grow.
I know, but I love watermelon so much. I eat watermelon every day. I love it. I'm crazy about it. Plumb foolish about it. But you're right, I can't grow it. I think we just don't get enough sunshine. Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know.
If that's what it is or not. those that we planted down there, which was just like 2 or 3 plants, I can't remember now, 4 at the most, but it seems like it was only 2 or 3. We planted them, and there's one place in the garden, big garden, that's like a wet weather spring kind of, and we planted them in that end because I thought, well, they would enjoy that moisture. And they did seem to kind of take off good, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
But then maybe it was the dryness too. It's just been such a dry year. May have been what hurt them.
Yep.
We will enjoy those potatoes though. We'll probably share some of them with Granny. If you grow a lot of potatoes and you're gonna store them all through the winter, there's a whole process of like curing them to make sure that they don't just rot on you. But for us, we'll eat those pretty quick between us and Granny, so we won't necessarily worry about that. We go through potatoes pretty quick here.
Yep.
Matt's been making the best potatoes, delicious potatoes, just fried potatoes, but do you boil them first, or are you just frying them, the big rounds?
No, I mean, I've done it both ways. A lot of times if we've got a leftover baked potato, I'll save it and do it that way, but these last ones, I've just used these young potatoes and just sliced them, and they're still raw, and fry them in bacon grease.
He fried some in Tom Orr's bear grease too.
Yeah, I did that too, yeah.
Man, they were good. But the bacon grease ones are really good too. And just gets perfectly brown and crispy on the outside and done all the way through. Pretty thick. I don't know how you get them done like that all the way through.
Just cook them slow.
They're so good.
Use plenty of grease and cook slow.
I could make a meal just on them. I used to do that sometimes when I was young. I would make, not potatoes like that, but French fries, and that would be my meal. I'd just slice up potatoes and French fry them and have ketchup and mustard, and sometimes I'd eat a piece of buttered toast with it, and that was what I ate. It's pretty good. Mm-hmm. But those big round ones are so good. So good.
We'll do that with some of those while they're still as fresh as they are. That makes them even better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Of course, we love fresh potatoes like that with and cooked in green beans. We don't usually do that, although I do have a video about it where I did it one time this year. But we love them. Sometimes I'll boil them until they're just barely tender, and then kind of scrape all that good skin, fresh little skin up, and then put them in the oven and roast them the rest of the way. Or if they're small enough, you just roast them, do that all in the oven, and that skin gets crispy. We eat those. Those are really good. Something just about new potatoes are so much better than the old ones, which I guess it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Time goes by so fast, I cannot believe that it's almost September. Seems like just yesterday we were dreaming about we were going to get to use Pap's big garden again, and the excitement of having our friend Thomas and his crew cut all those trees, and just dreaming about it, and we were so excited, and now we did it, and it's over, and here we are.
Yep.
We got corn in the freezer and taters in the bucket.
Yep.
And a handful of green beans, not many. We've got a lot of grapes though. I forgot about that. We can count Steve's grapes as our success. It was really Steve's success, yeah. But got those on the shelves in the basement. So all in all, a good year.
Yep.
Of course, we're already thinking about next year. Now Thomas cut all those trees that were shading the garden from the sun. The way it comes up here in the sky and goes around this way, it was just totally shading out. But another part of the garden on the backside towards the creek, that doesn't shade the whole garden, but there's trees over there that shade. How many feet would you say in?
It shades the first 2 or 3 rows of whatever you plant there, whatever that'd be.
And what happened this year, and it's in the past, the same things happened as Pap used a big garden. He would periodically have to cut those trees. I think the last time they cut, you cut them.
I think so.
Yeah. Because what happens is whatever you plant, which typically would be like this year was corn. The corn, it's amazing plants do that. They just start leaning out trying to get that full sun. So they were kind of like growing at an angle. Then when the storm few storms that we did have come, it was just easy for them to, that's the part that fell over because they were already at an angle. I mean, they might have blew over if they were standing straight up too, but they definitely were not getting the sunshine they needed, and that's why they were reaching out.
Yeah, and those couple of rows of corn didn't make much on them either because they just couldn't get the sun.
So that's probably number one priority.
Yep.
To do, I mean, as far as that big garden goes.
Yeah, cut them. Now that we've got it cleaned off and nothing's in it, I can go ahead and cut them anytime.
Just let them fall.
Just whenever it's cool enough, I ain't gonna do it in the heat.
You need some of that 42-degree weather that the Holmans had.
Gosh, yeah. I can't wait.
It won't be a lot of trees, not like the work that Thomas did, but how many, I don't know, 6 or 7 or something.
Yeah.
And they're not terribly big trees. How big around?
Yeah, they're probably the biggest ones, 12 inches through probably. Bad thing is that most of them are gum trees and they're not fit for firewood. There's a couple of maples in there. I'll keep those and split them.
We have a lot of sweet gum trees here.
Yep. And it's not good for firewood and you can't hardly split it. I mean with an axe, I'm sure you could with a splitter, but it just ain't that good of wood.
They have very pretty leaves though.
Oh yeah.
Their leaves are like stars. I love their leaves. But Matt, if he gets those cut down, that will make a difference for next year. For that part of the garden, we'll be able to get more sunshine. Hopefully this was our first year really being back down there, so you know we'll have to, I guess we've been, what do you say, getting back in the saddle.
Yeah.
Some things that we'll probably do slightly different. For sure we want to, and 2 things. One is that we not being able to plant down there and we're kind of out of practice, but then of course Granny being sick took up so much time. But there was 2 big areas that we didn't even plant. So we want to make sure to do that next year. Hopefully we would be able to put, you know, pumpkins or something, just something, even if we just put something that could grow all over. And then getting the stuff planted earlier. The corn did okay, even though it was later than we would have normally planted it.
Yeah.
But I think the potatoes suffered.
They did. I mean, and we might move some of that stuff around too, because now that we've seen, you can tell where the soil's better in parts of the garden. Probably need to amend some of it too, but just like it says, it's part of it's got better soil in different parts of the garden than others, and you can see where the stuff grows better.
Yeah, even the row of potatoes, as we got further out, there was more potatoes and they were bigger.
Right. Yeah, the end I started on, there was a whole bunch of little bitty ones. They just got bigger as you went.
Yeah, yeah. And of course, the beans, if we got them planted earlier, you're gonna be pounced on. Here comes Mr. Banks. The butter beans and the peanut beans that we planted down there, and the deer. I mean, we had stuff against us, like I said, the deer and the drought. But still, definitely things we'll try to do different next year. It's so exciting, though. Still, I'm just so pleased that we grew corn, and it was so good, and got some in the freezer to enjoy this winter, and Paul and Granny enjoyed it, and we all enjoyed it. It was really nice. Really nice.
Yeah, we'll do it again next year.
Thinking about amending the soil, like Matt said, we're torn between we've never done a cover crop, so we've thought about that. Maybe just putting some kind of compost on it, or putting lime on it, or maybe doing nothing, because there's not been nothing grown there in so many years that it's not like the soil would be at this point depleted or anything.
No.
So I'm not sure what we'll do there. We know nothing hardly about growing cover crops, or really we know nothing is what I should say. But what we've read is like everything else on the internet, you get varying opinions that kind of contradict each other. So it's hard to know what to do about that. I like the thought of it, of planting something and letting it grow. and then tilling it under, but I don't know. And then we can't do that either until we get the trees down, and like Matt said, he don't want to be doing it in 80-degree weather, so we'll see. Do you want to give an update about your glasses? How they doing?
I'm getting a little more used to them. I don't seem to do as well inside the house with them as I do outside. I don't know why that is. I don't know, it's crazy. But I'm getting more used to the progressive part of them. The more I wear them, and they don't seem to, they don't seem to make my eyes want to pull. Or feels like they're pulling. I don't know what they're doing. It makes it feel like one of them's trying to turn in. And when you take them off, it feels like they're trying to go back, and it's kind of a funny feeling, but that's not as bad now.
I
do like them. I mean, I can see better for sure.
Getting easier to go up and down steps and stuff?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's just trying to learn how to point my head as according to how far away I'm looking. And I'll get it, I guess. At least I can see. If I can keep from skinning them, I don't know if that's possible or not.
Yeah. A lot of people gave him great tips and shared your experiences. Thank you so much for that. Yeah. About how just to hang in there and give yourself time. And
what's it been?
Just a week.
Week and a half.
Yeah. Almost 2 weeks, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about in the house. I guess it's because it's darker.
Maybe.
I don't know. It's weird. But when I get outside with them, I seem to do better. Our house dark as a dungeon anyway.
It's pretty dark.
Yeah.
It's funny, when you're young, you don't think about needing a lot of light to be able to see. So me and Matt are not going to build another house. This is just going to be it for us, I'm sure. But unless God tells us something, changes our lives around or something, something unexpected. But anyway, if we had it to do over, we would have made sure we had better lights and more windows and all those kind of things.
We can always redo the lights. That's easy enough. We just got to decide to do it and put some either more lighting or a brighter light. We're still rocking the 1970s incandescent bulbs with the frosted lenses on them. It ain't no wonder we can't see.
I don't think we're that bad.
I think we are.
I remember when I was young, I loved to read, and I did then too, and often I would have my book, and in Granny and Pap's living room, I'd be off in one of the corners, like away from where the people was watching TV or whatever, and be reading my book, but they'd be watching TV, and Pap would say, "Tipper, get you a light over there," and I'd be like, I don't need a light, Daddy. And in a minute he'd say, "Tipper, don't you need a light over there?" I'm like, "No, I'm fine." But I understand now what he meant. He was at that age where he was needing a light, so he just knew I needed one too. I was like, "No, I can see. I'm fine."
Yeah, I got to have a laser beam on something if I'm gonna see it.
I know. Yeah. Yeah, you see those, like in magazines and stuff, those houses that just have glass windows everywhere and the sunlight beaming in. I think that'd be pretty nice.
Yeah, if you could keep it cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
I'd rather be blind and cool.
Yeah.
I can't stand
And part
the
of
heat.
ours is living on the north side of the mountain here. There's just not much sunshine.
No.
that can come through the window, so we're just not in. The sun doesn't face us, I guess. Is that how you say it?
We have company.
Sounds like it. We may have to pause and be right back. What do you say? This has been interrupted by a commercial.
Yeah.
We're going to take a commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Now a word from our sponsors.
Now, what do you say? Your broadcast continues or something? Programming, regularly scheduled programming continues?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Now back to our regularly scheduled programming.
Yeah. So we had a delivery, is what that was, so Matt had to go take care of it. Anyway, we were talking about the sun not shining here because we're on the north side of the mountain. When we first moved in, Matt and I tried to have house plants. I wanted to have house plants, and I put them here and there. The sun in the morning comes through the kitchen window, but there's really not a good window where it directly comes through. It comes through the living room too, and I tried in there and that didn't really work. And then I tried in the afternoon, it comes in this end of the house, and I tried one or two places there. Didn't really work either. But soon what happened was that Corey and Katie got to be, what were they, those toddlers, I don't know, 2 years old or something. And they found out that they could play in the dirt in the potted plants. And so I, of course, they got in trouble for doing it and, you know, admonished to not do it again. And then they did it again one day. Corey was the most defiant when they were little and got onto her and punished her. And then she got back in there where I had them, and it was in my and Matt's room. And it's funny now. It was not funny at the time, though. It was maddening, frustrating. But basically come down the hallway with 2 handfuls of dirt and just threw them at me like I will, you know, being defiant. That didn't go over good far either. But anyway, it wasn't long after that I thought, it's pointless. I don't have enough sunshine anyway, and I can't keep my little rugrats out of them, so I gave up on that. Granny would have some, and her, again, the sun hits the same ends of her house like that, but on her front end, like where my kitchen is, down below, she's got 2 big glass doors in the basement, so in the winter she could put them right there and the sun comes shining through those big glass doors, and we don't have that. But the only little house plant I've had for several years now I have in the kitchen. It doesn't need much sunlight. I have it in the dining room window is a little aloe plant, so that if somebody gets burned, they can use some of that on their burn. But that's all I have. All I have enough sunshine for.
Get you a chia pet.
Yeah, get a chia pet. Did you ever have one of those?
No.
I didn't either. They look cute though. Now that you've said it, can't you hear it in your head? Chia.
Yep.
Yeah, I never had one either. I did want to, but I never did. After we got chickens, I wanted to like grow greens, microgreens for them in the winter and to feed them, but I never tried that either. Of course, you can do that to feed yourself too. Some people do that and live in really cold climates and then have, snip them off and have a little fresh green for your salad. Typically here, in certain places, a little bit of weeds and stuff still kind of grows, like ground cover, whatever you call it. So, and then I usually grow kale, so I can share some of that with the chickens. So, yeah. Usually if you can scrounge up most of the time, especially, it might be something that's kind of froze in the morning, but as the day goes on, it thaws out. So by the evening time you feed the chickens, you can maybe grab them a handful here or there, take it to them.
Yep, they like it.
Yeah, they do. They love it. A lot of people have asked to see the chickens, and we have shared them in some videos in the past, but maybe someday we could do a whole video about them. But our chicken setup is nothing special, and we don't, it's not like a, I don't know, what would you say? We have chickens, and we've had them for a long time, and they do good, and they lay eggs, but we don't put a lot of effort into it. Is that what you'd say? I don't know.
It's not
I
don't know. It's just old-timey chicken lot and chicken coop, and it's not nothing pretty to look at.
So you probably wouldn't be impressed, in other words.
And as a matter of fact, it needs to be tore down and rebuilt.
That's on Matt's ever-growing list. Well, it's been on his list for years, though. But
I just keep propping it up, but it's going to have to be tore down and redone.
But they have a big run that they're in. But another thing people ask, well, why don't you just let them free range? Well, there's too many dogs loose in our holler for that. They wouldn't.
There's too many foxes and too many coyotes and too many hawks.
They wouldn't survive very long if we did that at all.
A whole bunch of times I've come out and a hawk be sitting on top of the run looking at them.
Yeah, it's closed. Matt's got it closed in.
Yeah, if it wasn't for that, we would never be able to keep chickens here.
Yeah. We've done good as long as we've had chickens. We've never lost one to an animal, have we?
Yeah, one.
One?
Yeah, Coon got in there and got one time.
One, okay.
That's the only one.
Only one. we've lost them to, chickens sometimes just die. You don't even know what's wrong with them. We've lost them to other chickens. They fight each other.
Yeah.
So, but we've not really, just that one, I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
Now they try, but at night the chickens go into their coop and Matt shuts it up, so nothing really can get in there. But as far as trying to get inside the run where they can go out and run around, they try to get in there. But
and that's where we feed them, is out in that run, and then there's always feed there. So possums and coons and skunks and everything else are continually trying to find a way in, and occasionally they'll push a hole in the chicken wire and get in, and I'll have to fix it.
Yeah. And the one that the raccoon got was like right at dusk or something, and the chickens hadn't went up. How did that happen? I can't remember, because they didn't get it. It didn't get inside.
Right. It was. I can't remember how that went. I thought it was early in the morning, but the chickens would have been locked up unless I just forgot to lock them up.
No, I don't. You've rarely ever done that.
Anyway,
so I don't think that was it.
Yeah, it was.
I think it was like right when they were going. And sometimes chickens are crazy. Sometimes they go up, and it's still daylight. And they're just like, I've had it for today, I'm going up. And then other times you'll have one that just refuses to go in for some reason.
Yeah, I've had to go out there and put them in a few times.
Yeah, so I don't remember.
And sometimes the little door that I've got it, when I open it of a morning, it's got a wire on the back of it that I can hook through the fence so it'll stay open. Sometimes, a windy day or a storm, that thing will come loose, and without us knowing it, the door will push shut.
And then they can't go
And then they can't get in. You go out there and they're all sitting on the stoop,
on
all
top
piled
of it.
on each other.
Yeah.
And then you start trying to get a hold of them to get them in there, and they go crazy.
Yeah.
They ain't the smartest things.
No. If you have chickens, then you know all those old chicken sayings. You can see where they come from pretty quickly. Doesn't take long.
But they do lay tasty eggs.
Yeah. We have wanted, one thing I would like to do, but we've not ever done it. We've talked about it, but since we can't, like I said, just let them free range, but if we could put them in a chicken tractor or whatever and push them around so then they could move from place to place. And one time I told Matt he just needed to build like this tunnel system so they could come out and go here and go there. He's like, yeah, that's what I need to do, have tunnels, chicken tunnels all over the yard.
Yeah, that's exactly what I need to be putting my time into, is engineering chicken tunnels.
No. Oh, I know. You hear the crickets.
Yep.
This weather has been so nice, and now you're telling me it's going to get back really hot again, which I know it's not over. We'll have heat all the way through September.
I remember one time me and your daddy was building a deck, a big deck, and it was up in October, and it turned off hot, and it was miserable. I mean, it was over 90, and it was October. And I told him that was the only time I can ever remember being sunburnt in October. That was 20-something years ago.
Be interesting to see if the dryness we've had this summer, if it continues through the winter.
Just about the time deer season opens, it'll start raining.
Rain every day on you.
Right.
It's like the people that say if you want it to rain, wash your car.
All I got to do is scrape the driveway and it'll rain.
It does seem like that's how it goes. What do you got on your agenda for the rest of the day?
I don't know. I guess I'll just hang out and await more orders.
No.
I don't know. I'm sure Katie's, I need to do something for her, I know, and then I've got to work on the door sometime.
That was our delivery, was the door.
Yeah. But I don't want to start on that midday. I want to start on that in the morning, because it may take
all day.
A good part of the day.
It's a garage door for our basement.
When I put that one that's in there in, the direction said allow 12 hours to put it in, and I just laughed at it and said, I believe I can do that quicker than that. And well, they were right.
They were.
It was every bit of 12 hours because I had to mount the track and just everything, all the brackets to hold the track and get the track square, and the springs and the pulleys, and put the door together and each panel together and slide it into the track and hook it to the panel I'd just put in, and it took 12 hours. Hopefully I'm hoping I can just put this door in the track that I've already got, hopefully, because if I have to do the track, it'll take me more than 12 hours now. That was years ago when I done that one. This one will be a lot longer. So, and we'll start on it early in the day.
And you're fresh.
Yeah.
Well, we're always grateful when you stop by to help us celebrate Appalachia, and really appreciate all the encouragement you've given us this year for, excitement right along with us about getting to plant the corn, and then urging, hoping that we get to eat corn out of it and all that. And you've really been good cheerleaders for us, and we appreciate you coming along on this journey of making a garden, which you have been for several years now, but this new venture that we had in Pap's big garden this year.